Hello and welcome back to SGTV. It is currently Mental Health Awareness Week, which is the perfect opportunity for people to be talking about mental health. One of the things we'd like to discuss on the show today is that mental health can come in a variety of shapes and forms, not just in the more common things people are aware of, such as depression. It can come in the form of stress and anxiety. And when you're running a small business, such as our guest today, Simon Bell from SB Electrical, it can obviously have bigger implications on not only yourself, but also perhaps staff and your family around you. And speaking to other people, we're aware that it's not until people have gained a better understanding of mental health issues that they've actually been able to recognise them and how it affects them and how they are treating other people around them. So, Simon, thank you for coming on the show again today. We had you fairly recently during the thicker part of the lockdown. So it's good to have you back. So how have you been?
Good to be back. Yeah, I've been good, thanks. Been actually quite busy in the situation because I picked up a few contracts in the local hospital, and obviously we're still allowed to go in there, so it's not been bad at all, really. Yeah.
So one of the things we want to discuss is, I know we've spoken to you before at ELEX about how you've spoken about mental health and sort of juggling the stresses and anxieties of running a business. So we want, from your perspective, to see how you have managed not only your mental health, but also the stress of running a business before COVID, during COVID, and how you're going to prepare for after. So let's go right back to the beginning of when you were becoming an apprentice and the sort of stress and mental health implications you can have from being in that position.
Well, mental health is something I'm pretty passionate about now. I've had quite deep depression and anxiety, and so has a lot of friends and family members. And I think when I was an apprentice, I've never been very good at exams and, that side of what we have to do to become an electrician. I've always been a hands-on, get my hands dirty, use the tools type of person. So when coming from school, which I didn't do absolutely brilliant in, I got through the aptitude test of the apprenticeship, and then I think that's when I went to college, and that's when the stress started, as in it's so stressful because you've got to meet them, you've got to be year one, year two, and your pay scale goes to that as well. So you've got quite a lot of pressure on you to get these exams finished, to get your pay scale up. And I see that a lot now with the apprentices that I have. They see that electricians are on fairly decent money, and what they got, they see that also the apprenticeship money is not very good. So they have a lot of stress and anxiety to get through their exams to get the money at the end of the term, you see. And I think also what did me as well was, back then the electricians were not, as it's hard to say, not very nice people, as in you've got a lot of old school people back in 20 odd years ago, and they used to be called apprentice bashers. So the mental health side of that for me then was really bad. I mean, I nearly even stopped doing electrical work, the electrical business, as in to become an electrician, for the simple fact of how I was being treated at work.
Yeah.
So that actually made me depressed, and the anxiety for going to work in the morning was unreal. But I got through that, and then I think I actually moved companies and become quite good friends with one of the guys I was working with then, and that moved me from having anxiety to actually liking to go to work, and then realising, this is what I really want to do. And then I think I was okay for a bit then, and the college was okay. I was progressing through that slowly, but getting it done. But then I started my business fairly young on. I was actually started the electrical business before I properly come out of the time for reasons that I have to do that. And then the stress of having to keep work coming in for myself was quite hard.
How do you manage that though when starting that business and you've got that goal of what you want to do, but at the same time it is stressful? How would you manage that?
Well, I didn't basically. I think quite a long time ago, stress wasn't, and depression wasn't a thing that was spoke about as people know now. I was embarrassed. You was embarrassed to be stressed or depressed. It was a really embarrassing thing, especially on site. If you were working on site with all these burly guys and that, you just didn't talk about it at all. And it was quite hard. It was a really hard way of working as well. And to manage it, I don't think I did really. I think I just got on with it. It was the old-fashioned, just get on with it. Man up, get on with it and do what you've got to do. And I went working away for quite a long time, building my business up. I worked in London a lot. And that also put a lot of stress on home life. And even then I think my eldest daughter, I didn't really see her go till she was 2 or 3, just for the simple fact I was working away a lot, which also put stress onto the marriage and the home life and stuff like that then as well.
Do you think that having worked in those sort of environments where you have to be quite thick-skinned, do you think that there is some benefit to that, in that it does almost prepare you for harder times and tougher situations with those kind of people? And I know it can turn quite nasty, it can turn to bullying, and like you say, when you were in your apprenticeship stage, it almost put you off working. So obviously those people specifically were probably taking things too far. But do you think maybe a small degree of that sort of, like you say, apprentice fashion in the nicest possible way can be good for getting them mentally prepared?
I think no, not because I think it really did affect me, but what it has done now is the apprentices we have and we've brought through over the years, I've really made sure that hasn't been an aspect within our business, or even being on site and seeing that happening now. And luckily it doesn't happen, hardly at all anymore. I don't know what it was back then. I don't know what mental state the older guys had. The fact that, they used to have to be that way to the younger guys. Now, whether I suppose in a way, I don't know whether they were stressed and depressed and they used to come to work and take it out on the young lads then. But I've sort of learned that that doesn't happen now within my business and my guys. We make sure we mentor them in a way that doesn't need to be done. And even down to if they're doing things wrong and getting them in the office and saying, right, not giving them an absolute rollicking, but just saying, how did you think that happened? And, why do you think that happened there? And could you do it better? Not necessarily having a go at them, but asking them what they could do better for their upbringing through the electrical business, you see.
Yeah, and that's only going to be a positive thing for anyone. I mean, anyone knows themselves when you've done something wrong, even if it's an honest mistake. If you get someone shouting down your throat at you, it's just going to push you into a corner, make you more stressed, and that's when people make more mistakes. So having someone like yourself who's perhaps learned from being in those bad situations to try and turn it into a positive opportunity for your apprentices, that's only going to make better, happier apprentices, I suppose.
Yeah, and I've always said to them, if you do anything wrong, it's better to know straight away than, if you've done something wrong, try to hide it, and then we find out later, and it actually causes more upset and money as well. It's things. I remember when I was apprenticing, we went round pack testing Thornton's shops, And I can remember leaving a fridge unplugged and all the ice cream melted. That's hundreds of pounds. And the guy who owned the company at the time was a fairly sized company. He gave me such a rollicking, and I thought, but in that aspect, it's something that you don't mean to do. So, you just got to explain, look, when next time, double check and sort of given that aspect, put a more of a positive spin on things.
You sort of brought me to my next point, really, which was responsibility and how that can impede on mental health. So, like you say, if you're stressing about responsibilities that you have, if you know that it's not going to be a really bad outcome, that might make you help deal with your responsibilities better, and also managing your responsibilities in saying, I need help, I don't really know how I'm doing this thing, can you help me? Rather than thinking, no, that's not their problem, I need to do this. And then you're just going to cause yourself stress. And obviously that just has a never-ending knock-on effect.
Yeah, I think with apprentices as well, you've got to encourage them to, if they do something wrong, or they don't know what they're doing. I think a lot of time now, there's not enough time on jobs anymore. So what happens is the electrician that the apprentices are to don't really get time to show them how to do something properly. So, and we're in the same boat. We have deadlines and things. So, if the apprentices are not sure what they're doing, they're always encouraged to ask the electrician, is this how you do it? And like you say, it does alleviate a lot of the stress on the lab then, because they know they're not going to get some electrician going, well, you're second year now, you should know what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Then they're going to say to them, yeah, come on, let's show you that. And then, we sort it that way.
Yeah. I mean, we spoke briefly just a minute ago about how before, especially, you'd struggle with mental health and how it could put a strain on your relationships at home. So having spoken to you now, I can see that you seem to be managing things pretty well from an outside perspective. So what sort of things do you do to manage that?
Divorce.
Sorry?
Divorce. No, what I did, I touched on this at the elect show. One of my biggest things is to try and not take it back home. It's really hard when you're running a business to not be thinking about what's happening the next day, the next week, what work's coming in. So one of my biggest things was to write stuff down. I found that if I had a notepad, and I'd sit down at the end of the day and go, right, this is what needs to be done for the next couple of days. Write it down, even if I'm doing it every night, writing the same thing. Then I've got a highlighting pen, and once it's done, go through it with the highlighting pen. And I think to try and get these things out of your head, so you're not sitting down. I've had times when I've been sitting, with the missus watching TV, and she's been talking to me, and I've not even known what's going on the TV and not even listening to what she's saying, because I'm thinking about work and I'm thinking about the stress of what I've got to be doing the next day. And I thought to myself, I need to sort this out. I've got to do something, because it's definitely affecting. And even I've got a 2.5, maybe 3 next week actually, but I've got a 3-year-old lad, and even with him, sometimes I find myself, for example, he come running in the other day shouting, daddy, and I was thinking about something else, and I didn't realise, he dressed up in something to show me, and this is even now still, even though I'm trying to manage it, and this is what I would say, but I shut the door on him because I was trying to get what I needed to get done, knowing that then I can come off that and be the family man. But when I'm in that mind, I need to get these things done. But writing stuff down at the end of the day, then trying, to forget about it and putting it to bed till the next morning really does help. And I think also, definitely for mental health and for stress and anxiety and depression and the other types of mental health that's out there, you can't beat exercise. I really think that you cannot be going out. I do cycling and mountain biking, I used to be at the gym, but I think it really does help with the mental health side of it.
Absolutely, yeah. Are those, I mean, these little tips and tricks, even just writing things down or sort of getting out your system through exercise, it's just about keeping on top of it, isn't it? And people don't necessarily always know that doing these little baby steps and the little bits of maintenance, it really does make the world of difference.
I think talking as well, it's hard to talk to your partner about your business things, especially if there's money involved and stuff like that. But if I'm in a world of my own and I'm trying to get through things in my head, and then my partner's saying, "What's the matter?" and I'm saying nothing, I've sort of learned now to tell her what's wrong, and then she at least knows what I'm thinking about, even if she can't do anything about it. Sometimes you just need somebody to talk to.
Yeah.
And I've got it was actually, he won't mind me saying this because I told him I was going to be talking about things. And, I've had a couple of guys that work for me. One now doesn't work for me. He made the decision not to work anymore. He was actually a family member, and he got into really bad depression, became an alcoholic, and I kept him going for a good 15, 20 years, and in the end he just couldn't carry on working anymore. Now, he doesn't work anymore basically, and he was one of my best guys. And then an apprentice I had who come through and became an electrician, started up his own business. He now, unfortunately, his business is really good. He's an absolute laughter. But he came out the other day and said, "You know what? I'm so depressed. I can't do anything at home. I go here home and I go in the garage because I can't deal with the kids running about and things like that." And just talking to me helped him, even though I'm not a counsellor or anything like that. I think to talk to people can get it off your chest. And some people have dealt with it. You deal with these, and then you can sort of say to them, "Well, do you want to see a counsellor? Or do you think you ought to do this? Do you think you shouldn't be drinking as much because it won't help?" Things like that. Even in these times of this COVID on, and you can't see face to face, I know, because it's happened with a family member again, that you can actually do video call with counsellors and this kind of thing. And there's always somebody to talk to if you really need to and basically want to as well.
Absolutely, yeah. I think the way we live has almost made things more difficult for us. I think going back a long time when people would have quite a big community around them where they could just talk about the little things that would keep you on top of your game almost. And now we've almost, through no fault of our own, everyone, we've almost got so wrapped up in our lives and how busy everything is that by the time you're coming home from work, you're not really getting that community feel as much, and you're not sharing your thoughts and opinions and things that are going to help you keep on top of yourself. So, but like you say, having things like Zoom calls, it's just going to help. Just being able to speak to someone, even if you're not with them.
Oh yeah, definitely. It really does help to talk. I've found that over the years because I am maybe old school in the fact that I was always all right. Like I said before, I was embarrassed to say that I was depressed. So people say, especially partners, "What's the matter?" "No, I'm all right." "I'm okay. Nothing wrong with me." And then they obviously know there is. And the more you bottle it up, the more it causes arguments. And I just think you've got to get it out there. I mean, I watched Nick Bundy his video the other year. I was doing a cup ranting. He's right. Even talking to customers, and obviously not boring them about things, but what customers you can talk to and what customers you don't talk to. But even talking to customers, you find out that they've gone through similar things. And chatting is one of the greatest things, I think, of the human race that we can do, is communication, basically.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with you on that, to be honest. So how would you find everything with COVID going on? How have you found that's affected your mental health and stress? Obviously, running a business during this time, it's going to be difficult.
Well, when it first come about, my anxiety went through the roof, because before lockdown, when it was all sort of, the old people over 60 or 70, whatever it was, have got to stay in, there might be this lockdown coming on, and I was just thinking, oh my God, what do I do? With work, what are we going to do? What camp are we allowed to work? Is a lot, because we've never had this before. Is a lockdown? You are not even allowed out of your house. How am I going to? Because I'd never heard of furlough. I didn't even know what it meant. And they're saying people may need to be furloughed, whether stay at home. And I'm thinking, well, how do I pay? Do they have the holiday pay and the sick pay? I haven't. You only have so much money in the bank. When the funds run out, what happened? And also the first week or so, when everything was raw and people didn't know what was doing, I was having heart palpitations and everything. I honestly didn't know what to do. But yeah, obviously over a period of time and reading, and to be fair, with the ECA, I'm ECA registered as well, and they've done some cracking things online, doing webinars and stuff. I was good. I rang the ECA and also watched the webinar, and that helped my anxiety come down, and then start to realise that this furlough is you get money and all this. But touch wood, luckily, we just carried on working through it anyway.
Yeah. Did you find you had to almost keep your cool when you're dealing with customers and your staff to almost reassure them that everything's going to be okay?
Oh yeah, I'm really. I'm a bit too soft with the staff, I think, sometimes. I will tell them everything, what's going on. And I've said, even to this week, I still say to them, "Are you okay working? Do you want to be furloughed, or are you still okay?" Because we're working in the hospital as well, which has been one of our major work over this period of the COVID. I've been in there on the tools and stuff myself, and it's quite hard working in there, knowing that this virus is about, even down to touching door handles, and because you can walk around with gloves on, but I think the glove thing side of it isn't. I think it's better to wash your hands. But it's come up with, I think, little flaws in hospitals as well, as in, I don't think any doors in corridors and stairwells you should be able to pull them open while you touch the handle. And I think this has emphasised that. But I've said to the guys, obviously all the PPE, the masks and all the sanitizer and everything, and said to them, make sure you use this all the time, and basically reassuring them that if you don't want to work, you haven't got to work. But they all want to work, so it's credit to my staff, really is credit to them that they want to carry on working.
Yeah.
Because even with, I know we get 80% from the furlough, but I'd probably make up their wages anyway, so they would not lose any money. But they've just been great, because of like Liquor Family workers. They've just stuck by me and helped me as much as I've helped them, to be honest.
Yeah, I've seen quite a lot of anxiety from people who are almost scared to go back to work in many different sectors. Obviously, they've been at home and they've been enjoying themselves, had some good weather, which has made things nice for us at home. But then the stark realisation that you've got to go back to work, and you're potentially putting yourself and your family at risk. I can only imagine that's going to be causing quite a storm amongst a lot of people.
I think the trouble is when you, like you say, you've got a lot of people like ourselves that are still working and still going out there. I don't think it's as much risk to us to what we bring back. So myself, I know I've been making sure I wash my hands and things like that. But I do think that the fact that going back to work, I think people are ready now, to be honest, because I've noticed, because we've been working all the time, I have noticed that the first 3 weeks everywhere was dead. It was like like 28 days later, that horror-film.
Yeah.
Soon as they said, right, we're going to have another lockdown for another 3 weeks, we noticed definitely more traffic out on the road then.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people did go back, and I think the main people were contractors, self-employed, who was not really getting what they should get, and they just got to take the risk really and go out and go to work.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of people as well, almost, the ones that have been furloughed or have worked from home, they've been getting to spend more time than they perhaps ever have with their family and kids. And now they're almost getting anxiety about going back to work and not seeing them as much, almost going cold turkey on your family. And I know from people that are close to me that's already becoming a problem. And trying to manage that for themselves in their own mental health, that's definitely going to be a challenge.
Oh, definitely. I mean, we've got the 3-year-old and my partner, she's furloughed off. And I know that it's the stress as well as if they call her back to work, she works for a big retail company. If that opens up again and she has to go back to work, we are going to have so much stress on us, because if the nurseries don't open as well, we really don't know what we're going to do. So, at the minute it's not too bad because you're thinking she's at home, the kids at home. But yeah, definitely the stress to go back to work is on two sides, I think, really. I think it's the stress of going back and not knowing what is out there because you've not been to work, or it's also the stress of staying at home. I think it's really hard for people that's not been going out. I've been lucky enough, like I keep saying, that we've been out working, so it's not really affected us in that way. I've just really had the anxiety at the start, and I think the stress through making sure my guys are okay.
Yeah, I suppose one of the best things we can do are things like you mentioned yourself, whatever anxieties or worries you've got about any of it, going back to work, putting yourself back out there and potentially putting yourself at risk, all of these things, best thing you can do is be talking to people about it. You're going to reassure each other the more people that are talking about it, and like I say, things like writing things down to get it out of your head, so it's you can almost cross things off your list. Exercising, it's all going to help, isn't it? Oh yeah,
I think as a business owner as well, you've definitely got a responsibility in trying to keep what's in your control of what your responsibility is, and that is the welfare of your employees basically, and the welfare of their families. So this is why I keep saying to the guys at the hospital, at the end of the day, the jobs can wait. They're not jobs where, well, they are sort of critical jobs in the fact that they do need to be done, but it can be done over a period of time. It's not got to really be done right now. So to keep saying to the guys, look, if you want to be off, you just go off, because I don't want, if you're worried you're going to take stuff back to your house, then, just be off.
How would you prepare yourself and your staff for going forward from this?
Well, I think basically the webinars on the ECA are quite good for the guys to watch. I've been trying to make my guys watch them, which keeps them up to date with the work side of it and what they're allowed to do and stuff like that. It's really hard to prepare, I think, for the unknown, apart from just making sure that the PPE is there. Keep chatting. We have a good toolbox talk as well at the start of the week and make sure everybody is okay. Trying to keep the mental state of the guys down is, I don't know, sometimes you've got to sort of have a laugh with them as well, I think. And, honestly, it's really hard to prepare for the unknown because we just really don't know from week to week what they're coming out with and what they're going to do. The other thing is as well, I think there's a good charity out there called the EIC, which is an electrical industry charity, and I think they had something to do through the ECA. And they, on their website, I found, ironically, something called Click, which is quite good for the Scolmore, but it's CLIC, and it's an online free support community for various forms of mental health. And I think it was done by a company called, Rethink Mental Illness. And they do forums, which is this Click. They've come up with this forum. I think it's only been out for 2 weeks. And so guys can talk on there, well, anybody can talk on there. They're all different types of mental health states, ranging from PTSD to all sorts of depression, anxiety, a lot. And I think I've given this to my guys as well and said, if you can't talk to me because it's personal and you don't want to put it on us, try these forums, because there's people on there that you can talk to and you don't have to see. You can be who you want to be on that keyboard. And so I know if you go on the EIC website, which is the electrical industry charity, I found the Click. I think it's CLIC-UK.org. And I know on there there's forums which you can talk about any types of mental health.
We can put a link in the description for them, so for anyone watching out there, you can get on there and hopefully find some use from it, as Simon has.
Yeah, I think being an owner of the company as well, that's one of my main things I've got to do, is keep looking for these kind of things on the internet and stuff, to keep giving the lads, so they know that you care. And they know that you're thinking about them, and they're not just making you money. I think
that's a very important thing you just mentioned there. Is I remember seeing a quote saying that people very rarely leave a job; they'll leave a manager. And if people like you who are actively taking part in keeping themselves up to date with mental health and how to help those around them, then, like I said before, you're only going to make a happier team of people.
I think keeping a happy team of people is a success of a business, to be fair. You can have the best electricians or apprentices in the world, but if they're not happy, they're not happy, and they'll move on. And over the years, I think 21 years I've been running now, I have got through quite a few employees and subcontractors, but they've gone on to bigger and better things. They've moved down London, or they've set up themselves, which is a natural progression, I think, as an electrician. But they've all stayed good friends. They've all become friends. I can always call them in on bigger jobs to subcontract that. And I think that helps. That definitely helps with the mental state and the mental health of a contractor stroke electrician. You're staying friends with people and knowing you've got that support community there.
And that's testament to you, really, and your own journey and your own almost bravery in dealing with things personally, so you can pass that on and build good relationships. And having said that, do you think, from what we spoke about earlier with your more old school type electricians that perhaps are a bit more closed off, do you think there's something they could learn from the younger generation, including yourself?
Yeah, definitely. And I don't think they realised they did it back then, because I actually met the guy that gave me so much trouble in the wholesalers. I've always known him, and I don't think he realised what he put me through. And I seen him in the wholesalers, and it was that initial, right, you're having it. But then I thought, hold on, you could come to fisticuffs in the wholesalers, but what are you gaining from that? So I just said to him, I said, can you remember me? And he went, sort of. I said, well, at the time, I was a young green, very long hair. Definitely not got it now. And then I said my name, and I said, you made my life hell, I said, and he just laughed, and he said, yeah, I know, and this is where the word apprentice basher came from. He said, yeah, I know. I was known as the apprentice basher at so-and-so company. I said, yeah, you was. I said, but what you don't realise is, I nearly stopped this electrical contracting. I nearly stopped my apprenticeship because of the way you was treating them. And I said, and I think you really need to think about what you were doing back then, and hopefully you don't do it again. And he just, and like you saying, this old generation, he just didn't, I don't think he even cared. I think he even laughed about it, made a joke of it with the guy that he was with. So it sort of made me think, you know, if I wasn't, I'd like to think I'm a strong person now, a lot stronger than I was then. But I think if I wasn't as strong as I was then as well, I definitely would not have been in this and be where I am today.
Yeah. We can only hope really that, you know, with all the emphasis on mental health out there, that it's just going to keep getting better for people, and people are going to be able to keep talking about it and learning from it. So people like yourselves can pass that on to your staff, and hopefully that'll have a positive knock-on effects for generations, really.
I think what helps as well is there's a lot more celebrities on Twitter and all the other social media coming out and, you know, saying that they've had anxiety, they've had depression, and even the royals, you know, Harry and William, talking about it and doing things for mental health and things for PTSD. I mean, we didn't even know what that was, you know, a couple of years ago. There's a lot of things that have come up now in the past, say 3 to 4, maybe 5 years, that people didn't even know what it was. And I think social media, as much as I didn't like it at the start, I think now I've got into it and you actually start learning more. It's a wealth of knowledge, and on the mental health side, it's cracking. These celebrities that are coming out with it are just getting it further and further up for people, you know.
Definitely. One of our previous guests on the show was saying, because he's working on his own most of the time, having that community on social media is a big boost for him, just to get through the day, knowing that you've got people you can chat to, have a laugh with. And like you say, even if you're not face to face with someone, there's always someone you can speak to online, text message, group chats, anything. It's all going to be for our benefit.
I know we've even started working now, and you know, like one of the apprentices I used to have, and he's now got his own business, and he's a good friend, or one of your best friends. We can be working away on different sites, and we've got a WhatsApp video call with him. You know, you position your phone to where you're doing the switch up and talking to him, and he's done the same. He's doing a fuse board and chatting away. But it definitely helps, really does help.
Yeah. Simon, before we go, I genuinely want to thank you for coming on the show, and even your little tip about writing things down at the end of the day, that's definitely something I'm probably going to do going forward, because I know all too well when you get home, your mind's racing about things you want to do, you've got to do, and then your missus is staring at you saying, you've been listening to me, I was elsewhere. Yeah. So, yeah, I hope other people out there will find this useful, or even a talking point for themselves to get talking about it and try and raise some awareness and understanding of the issue. So thank you again, Simon, and hope everyone out there watching has enjoyed this, and we'll hopefully see you all again soon.